Now in this part we have, first we have definitions. A statement is just proposition that is asserts something that is either true or false. So here in this part we're gonna work on these to see if do we have true or false statements. The first one here we have simple statement. Example, the sky is blue. Triangles have 3 sides. When we say simple statement, that means we only have one sentence. But when we have compound statement, that means we have 2 or more simple statements. Or at least one is negated simple statement. For example, the first one that we had here was sky is blue. If, for example, we had the sky is not blue, adding not, we can change that one from simple statement to compound statement. So by just adding not, we are going to have compound statement. Here we have examples for compound statement. If it snows today, then we will build a snowman. Here we have 2 parts. And this is using if, then. The other one, the cookies will turn out right if and only if. Since we have if and only if in between, we bake them at 350 degrees. So because of having this if and only if, meaning that we connected these 2 parts, and we have compound statement. Next one, it is not the case that the sun is shining today. Since we have not, meaning that we have negated simple statement or compound statement. The negation of statement is the opposite of the statement. Exactly what I said here, the sky is blue, the sky is not blue. So it's just the opposite of that one. So here we have another example. The negation of I am going to give you $1 million. Negation of that one is I am not giving you $1 million. And the symbol for that one is this one here, negation A, where A is our statement. So A, if, for example, if it was simple statement, we're just adding not to have negation A, we're gonna have compound statement. So what this symbol is, it's just not. You may say, okay, for not starting with N, but we're not writing that way. We're not writing this way. We're just writing like that, our symbol. Next one, the words all, none, some are called quantifiers. We must be extra careful when coming up with negation of statement containing quantifiers. So whenever you had all, none, some, but adding negation to that part, you should be careful of that part. So we're gonna work on examples later. For example, all, not, some, not. Next page. Connectives. So what we had on the sport, we used connectives. These if, then, if and only if. Okay, let's see what we have here. So often used to join two simple statements. And those are, we can have and between two simple statements, we can have or in between, we can have if then, we can have if and only if to connect two simple statements. We also consider negation of simple statement to be compound. So I already explained this one, that whenever you use negation, that means that you have compound statement. The conjunction of two statements, compound statement containing the word and. So this is compound, and we have and in between, and the symbol that we have here is this one. So each one of these A and B, each one of these are simple statement, but by using and in between, we're gonna have compound statement. So this is the symbol that we have for this one, for and. And the next one is disjunction, meaning between two simple statements, you're gonna use or. And the symbol for that one is, it's same as having V. And so having that symbol between two simple statements, that means this is compound statement. So this one is compound statement. And you remember that what we did in chapter 2, when we used and or, you may have seen this in algebra with, we're not using that for here. So for and in algebra, we usually use this symbol, that is for intersection. And for or, we use this symbol for union. So this is in algebra, it's not here. But we use this in chapter 2. So we use in chapter 2, but not here in chapter 3, logic. Instead, we have to use these. But the meaning are same. Next one, the conditional statement is an if-then statement. So we're gonna use if and then here. So first we have if, we have statement here, sentence here, then we have here, we have another simple statement after that. So combining, connecting these two simple statements to have compound statement. So if then, here we have example, if it rains, it rains. Here we have, I will bring an umbrella. By using if then, we just connected these two simple statements. And symbolically, we have to use this arrow. So A, if, and if, then B. If I want to do exactly the same as that one, what this one is, A, arrow, B, this is if A. If having A, then we're going to have B. By conditional statement or an if and only if statement, this is the symbol we have, two-way arrow. P, if and only if Q. Example, I will bring an umbrella if and only if it is raining. Next one. We're gonna have this one later, this part is for a not. What we have here is compound statement P and Q, but using negation for that part. So P and Q is inside parentheses, but here using negation outside. This means if I try to apply this negation to what I have inside, the negation of P, negation of Q. So writing these individually here, negation of P, negation of Q. But the point is that here in between we have and, but after applying this negation, we have to change and to or. So we shouldn't have same thing. We're gonna have that later again, but if I try to apply negation for the other one, which was P or Q, we are going to have exactly the same thing. Applying this negation, first it's negation P, here is negation Q, but the point is we have to change this part, which is or, to and. If not changing, your answer is not correct. So these are not equal if not changing from or to and. Write the following compound statement symbolically using P and Q as statements and defining P and Q for each part. So here we have to use P, Q for simple statements. And we have to read and see what we have here to connect these two simple statements. Part A, Tom joined the army and he didn't get married. So I'm going to use for the first part, for the first simple statement, I'm going to use what is P. That is P. It's better to write it because sometimes because of having not, or maybe something else, you're gonna make mistake. So P as Tom joined army. Now Q is, next one is he didn't get married, but we shouldn't write not. If writing not, we're gonna have a negation Q. This is what we have for Q without having not. That means negation Q is exactly what I have here. Not. You can just write didn't, but since I wanted you to see that here we have not, that's why I wrote this way. So based on what we have here, now I know that what I have here on this part is negation Q. And between I have and the symbol that we have to use for this part is, so writing this symbolically as P and negation Q. This is the final answer. Or B, if Bob plays in the World Cup, then he will play for Spain. So we connected two simple statements using if then. So what we have here, Bob plays in World Cup, that is P, and he will play for Spain, this is Q. So this was easy. You don't need to write them. So based on what I have here, here is P, here is Q. Since we have if then, the symbol that we have for that part is one-way arrow. So if P, then Q. Here again, we have not. And how we connect it is using if and only if. So our P is Jessica will win tournament, but here we have not, so that is negation. It's negation P. So that is our P and Q is this part. So what I have here, this is negation P. And we have if and only if. Part B, it is false that Jack teaches physics or drives BMW. Now on this part, what we have here. Here we have it is false. Whenever you saw something like this, it is false that means that this is not true. So this is not true. This is the only part that means we have not. But it is not true that we have negation. Writing the rest of that one. So whenever having it is false, you have to use it is not true that instead. And the rest of that, use parentheses here. See what I did here? I use these. And then translate, writing symbolically. It is not true that, use negation, open parentheses. And here we have Jack teaches physics. So repeat as Jack teaches physics, and Q is Jack drives BMW. We don't have Jack twice. It's just Jack teaches physics or drives BMW. This one means or Jack drives BMW. That's why I wrote that way. So this means here we have Jack is, this part is P. In between we have or. So we have negation P or Q. So we're not able to write this way, negation P or Q. This is totally wrong. This is not correct. The point is, whenever you have it is false that means the other part is here inside. And you have to apply whatever is outside, apply to both of these. So this one is equal to negation P, negation Q, but in between, instead of or, change that one to and. So having this port, you're gonna have exactly that equal to what is given here in this case. But the answer for this one is this part. It's not what I had later. It's just that one. So I'm going to erase what I have here because I don't want to even make mistake later. So that's the final answer for this part. Example number 2, write the negation of the following statements. Part A, some pedestrians are in the crosswalk. What negation was, we have to use this symbol to write the opposite of what is given here on this part. So I only need to add no at the beginning. So no instead of some, I'll write no pedestrians are in this crosswalk. Or it is not true that. So instead of adding no at the beginning, I'm going to use it is not true that first. And writing whatever was given. So either one works. Part B, no Capricorns are Leos. Exactly same thing. Writing it is not true that first. And write exactly what was given. Or instead of no, I'm going to write some. Part C, all Mustangs are Fords. Again, writing opposite of what is given. I'm adding, it is not true that. So this one works for all of these. So is it not true that all Mustangs are Fords? Or Here we have all. If I write some, that is not exactly what is given. So some, and also add not. So some Mustangs are not Fords. This is negation of what is given on top. Next page, example number 3, write the following statement in symbolic form. What is given here, we have P and Q. P is chips are salty, and Q is Sally eats an apple. Part A, if the chips are salty, comma, then Sally eats an apple. After if, here I have comma, then the second statement starting with then. This part, chips are salty. This is P. Sally eats apple. This is Q. If then, we have to use this symbol. So P comes first, then we have Q. This is symbolic form. Part B, it is false that Sally eats an apple and the chips are salty. What I have here, if you remember when I told you when we have it is false that, I should have this one here. Parentheses open and close in that part. And instead of writing it is false that, I'm going to use it is not true. So this is what that one means. False is not true. This way you can see that here we have not. And we have and here in between. Now starting with is not. So we have negation. Open. Sally eats an apple, that is Q. And in between. Chips are salty. This one is P. So this negation applies to both of these Q and P. It's not just for Q. We're not able to write this way. This is not correct. Part C, it is false that, so again, same as that one. So this false is not true. If Sally doesn't eat an apple, then the chips are salty. Again, I have it as false, that's why I'm using this one here. First, we have negation, open. On this part, we have if then. So I know that similarly, how to use here on this part is one-way arrow for if then. We have not. This is Sally eats an apple, that is Q. This part. This one is Q, and here is P. So first I have not Q, and then I have P. This part, symbolic form is given and asking to write these in words. Let P and Q, we have these two. For P, I have Bill loves Pepsi and Bruce loves Sprite, that is Q. The first one is negation, Q. We only need to add not for this statement, or we can just write it is not true that. The negation Q is opposite of what is given on top. Bruce loves Sprite, but I'm going to write Bruce doesn't love. So does not love Sprite, or instead of adding not here, we can use it is not true first, and write whatever was given here on this part. Part B, negation Q, if and only if P. So here on this part, first we have negation Q. This means I'm going to use exactly what I had on top. Bruce doesn't love Sprite. If and only if P is Bill loves Pepsi. Now part C. This is negation of P or Q. You don't need to draw these. I'm trying these to explain. So after it is not true that we have this part inside parentheses, and then here we have P or Q. I'll just use whatever was given here on top. So P is Bill loves Pepsi. We have or in between. And Q is Bruce loves Sprite. Next one, negation P and negation Q. Does not love Pepsi. In between we have and. Here again we have negation, so it's Bruce does not. Write the symbolic statement in words. Here we have three letters, P, Q, R. So it is about 80 degrees, that is P. It is raining, Q. I go swimming is R. So using these three and write these in words. The first one, P or Q and negation R. Since we have negation R, I'm going to write that negation R is so negation R is I don't go swimming. I'm writing I do not. Now starting with P, writing that part. Here we have R. Now we have Q. So this part is done. Now right after that we have and negation R. So I'm going to write upward. Q and R. And here we have if then. So if having Q and R, then here we have P. So Q was it is raining. Since we have if then, because I should have this one. If it is raining and I go swimming, I'm using comma here, then P was this about 80 degrees. Part C, on this part we have if then, and also we have if and only if. So first here we have if then. Q is it is raining. So if it's raining, then now working on this part. P is it is about 80 degrees. If and only if. And in that part we have R. So in this part, since we have if then statement, I know that whatever comes after then, that part should be inside. Next one. Q if and only if. So Q is it is raining. If and only if. P and finally here we have and or.